In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure Microsoft Graph API sample application with an Azure AD B2C tenant. First, go to Azure AD B2C docs, then filter by Graph, and select the second article, Microsoft Graph API. Then select how to programmatically manage Microsoft Graph. Here you can find the link to the GitHub repo. So open the repo. Then in the code, select download zip, or you can clone this sample to your local machine. I select download the zip. Then I open the file. Then I open Visual Studio and select the project I just downloaded. Select source. Now Visual Studio Code will offer you to restore the NuGet packages. There are a couple of NuGet packages used in this project, such as Microsoft Graph SDK. So I select restore. Then I also select to add the required assets to build and debug the application. Yes. And then in the left menu, select the app settings JSON file. You can see there are a couple of app settings. We'll start by adding the tenant ID, then application ID and application secret or client secret. To get your application ID, open your B2C tenant, copy in the overview, copy the domain name. Then you need to register the MS Graph application. So I scroll to the top of the article, and under the prerequisites, open the article that explains how to manage B2C with MS Graph. So this article explains how to register the MS Graph application, and then how to grant access to your tenant, for example, to read and write users from the directory, and then finally create a client secret. So with the client secret, your application will be able to read and write users from the directory. So I'm going back to the B2C tenant and select app registrations. Select new registration, give it a name, for example, MS Graph sample. Then select the account in this organization. Remove the permissions, we don't need these permissions, and select register. Then copy the application ID and set the app ID with the application ID you just copied. Back to B2C, we are going to add the API permissions. So select API permissions and then select add permissions, and we are going to select Microsoft Graph. Then select application permissions, because we want to grant the application permissions to access our B2C tenant. Then filter by user and select users read and write all permissions. Then select grant admin consent for your tenant. In this case, my tenant name is Tooltips. Yes. And that's all. We configure the users read and write all to the B2C tenant. Then we need to create a client secret. So select certificates and secrets. Under client secret, select new client secret, give it a name, for example, Q1. Select the expiration date after 24 months, and then add. Copy the client secret back to the application and paste the client secret, save the file. Now we need to run the application, so open the terminal and back to the article. You can see how to run the application. We first run .NET build to build the application, and then we run the application with the .NET command. Then the application offers you a couple of options. I select the option to get the number of users in the directory, so I select 9, and you can see that application accesses the tenant and tells me that the number of users in the directory are 12.